Have you ever walked in on your partner masturbating, or have they walked in on you? Have you ever been curious about what your partner might wank to, or been dying to share what happened during your last masturbation sesh? Have you ever struggled to find privacy to masturbate, or just feel a bit confused about what you're comfortable with when it comes to masturbation in a relationship? Well, there is lots to discuss, so let's talk about it. And this video is sponsored by Cheeks. More about them later in the video. Masturbation is part of many people's sex lives, whether they're in a relationship or not. However, if you are in a relationship, and especially if you're living together, navigating masturbation can get a bit messy, and not just in the sexy fluids kind of way. In my recent very scientific 2023 sex survey video, we found that 41% of you know how much your partner masturbates, compared to 59% of you who don't. So this video will hopefully be a bit of a resource to guide you through having a conversation with your partner if you're curious about their masturbation habits and they're curious about yours. There are a lot of ideas out there about the different masturbation do's and don'ts when you're in a relationship that you may have heard of or maybe even believe yourself. No shame to anyone about how you feel about masturbation in relationships. Everyone has their own personal values and boundaries. But it can be also good to examine where they are coming from, if they are serving you, and even if they are compatible in your relationship. We're also going to get into some of the details and logistics of how the fuck do you actually find some alone time to masturbate, especially when you are living with your romantic and or sexual partner. But before that, let's unpack some of these beliefs that we or our partners may hold about masturbation and ask ourselves some questions. Masturbation questions to ask ourselves and our partners. Should one partner fulfill all of your sexual needs? In general, it's unrealistic for one person to fulfill all of your needs as a human being. It's healthy to have lots of relationships that fulfill different needs, friends, family, or maybe even other romantic or sexual partners if you're polyamorous. I personally have needs for regular massages, seeing West End shows, and connecting to my Jewish identity. And whilst my partner fulfills many of my other needs, he doesn't fulfill those, and I'm happy to go elsewhere for them. Fellow theatre-loving friends, my Jewish family, and professional massage therapists. But let's chat specifically about sexual needs. If you're non-monogamous, you may have different kinds of sex meeting different sexual needs with different sexual partners. And even if you're in a monogamous relationship, your partner might not still fulfill all of your sexual needs. And this is where solo sex can come in. Maybe you're really horny and your partner has a headache or isn't in the mood. Or for whatever reason, you want some sexy time, but partnered sex is off the table. Your partner never owes you sex, but equally, if you've got the horn and you want an orgasm, there's nothing stopping you from taking matters into your own hands. Literally. A lot of people worry when their libido and their desires don't perfectly match up with their partners. And this is completely normal and very, very common. In her guest Q&A video that she did for me, Shambudi even said that this is the most common question that she receives. And maybe there are kinks or fetishes or even just certain sex acts that one of you is really into, but it's just not the other person's thing. There are plenty of things that can still be explored and enjoyed solo. And of course, asexual people exist. It can vary how much, if at all, asexual people are interested in having sex. So if you're an allosexual person in a relationship with an asexual person, you might not have sex with your partner, but still have an active and thriving solo sex life while doing other things with your partner for intimacy and connection. So your partner doesn't have to fulfill all of your sexual needs, and masturbation can help with that. But another fear that some people have is masturbation a replacement for sex? People have sex for a whole host of different reasons. A study from 2007 found 237 reasons why people have sex, including things like being horny, expressing love, wanting to relieve stress and anxiety, wanting to feel attractive, to make a baby, feeling bored, and marking a special occasion. Because partnered sex can mean so many different things, it can be useful to figure out what it means to you specifically. Solo sex can be about connecting with yourself, about having an orgasm because you're horny and your partner isn't there. It can be about exploring fantasies, getting to know your body better, or relieving a headache, or giving you a boost of confidence before a big meeting, and much, much more. In my opinion, masturbation isn't a replacement for sex, because solo sex and partnered sex don't always serve the same purpose. But also, solo and partnered sex aren't as separate as you might think. There's mutual masturbation where you're wanking together or watching each other. Maybe your masturbation fantasies are about the hot partnered sex that you had recently, or you love discussing your recent wank sessions with your partner as a bit of flirting and foreplay. One does not replace the other. They can, in fact, enhance one another. However, it can sometimes feel like you or your partner are choosing masturbation over partnered sex, and that can bring up some challenging feelings. And whilst you can absolutely say no to sex, if this is becoming an issue or somebody is feeling hurt, then that might mean that there may be some things to talk about, and possibly with the assistance of a couples therapist. Another misconception about wanking that a lot of us may have been taught is masturbation bad for you? Short answer, no. Long answer, there are some really positive benefits of masturbation. Masturbation can relieve stress. It's been shown to help with period pain and cramps. Masturbation can also make partnered sex more pleasurable, as connecting with your own body means that you can go into partnered sex with the knowledge of what makes sex fun for you. Masturbation can also help as one method of working through any issues like vaginismus, pelvic floor problems post-birth, hello, it me, erectile dysfunction, delayed or premature ejaculation, gender dysphoria, and sexual trauma. Solo sex can also be a good way to explore and fantasize about kinks that maybe your partner doesn't share, or it makes you feel sexy, or it helps you get into the mood for partnered sex. And masturbation and orgasms can help you sleep. One of the hormones that is released when you orgasm is melatonin, which aids sleep. I'll be the first to admit that I've had a stealthy wank whilst Dan has been asleep next to me because I've been struggling to get to sleep and I just need that orgasm to send me off. But apparently Dan is not always asleep and I'm not as subtle as I like to think. So masturbation isn't bad for you. In fact, it can be good for you. But is masturbation in a relationship cheating? I've done a whole video about this, but there aren't universal rules about what counts as cheating in a relationship. Different people count different things as cheating, which is why it is really important to talk to your partner or partners about what is cheating in your relationships. For example, if you're polyamorous, having sex with someone else may not be cheating, but having sex without a condom or having sex with someone and not telling your partner, maybe that will be crossing the boundaries of your relationship. Monogamous people are a lot less likely than polyamorous people to have these conversations about what counts as cheating, and more likely to assume that you're just on the same page about how you define it. And those assumptions are where conflict and hurt feelings can happen. Maybe for some people, having sex with anyone other than your partner, and that includes yourself, would count as cheating, but that's something that you need to talk about and agree upon together. But even if you've discussed it and you've agreed that masturbation isn't cheating, it's also worth talking about how you feel about porn. Is masturbating to porn in a relationship cheating? Again, this is going to be subjective and different in every relationship. A lot of people are uncomfortable with the idea of their partner watching porn, and I think it's really important and interesting to look at why that might be. There can potentially be feelings of insecurity, comparison, expectations, pressure, and jealousy. But I'm curious about whether these feelings are about mainstream porn and less likely to be about ethical porn or erotica. It's a good idea to talk about this and to work out what you would both be comfortable with. Maybe you're fine with your partner buying a porn performer's videos, but you wouldn't be comfortable with them messaging them on OnlyFans. Maybe you're okay with your partner having a subscription to an audio porn app, but you wouldn't be okay with them paying for custom dirty talking clips. And of course, if your partner watching porn is a hard limit for you, then that is totally okay. It doesn't make you prudish or too vanilla if you're not comfortable with that. Like wanking, your porn habits can be, but they don't have to be, a totally separate thing from your partnered sex life. If you're open to it, then it can be helpful and also really fun to show your partner the kind of porn that you're into. Maybe you listen to some audio porn while masturbating together, or swap your favorite smutty romance books or fan fiction, or taking turns to find some clips that turn you on and explaining what's doing it for you. It is a great chance to learn more about what your partner is into and can also be some really sexy quality time that you spend together exploring your desires. You could always buy a subscription to an ethical porn site together to enjoy during partnered sex or on your own. And speaking of ethical porn, thank you so much to Cheeks for sponsoring this video. I have worked with them a bunch of times, and Cheeks is where I personally go to for my erotic needs. So Cheeks are a subscription-based sexual wellness platform where members get access to authentic adult films, erotic audio stories, tutorials, expert-led workshops, and a taboo-breaking magazine. And it's ethical porn, meaning that it is based on fair pay and legal and ethical working conditions. But Cheeks isn't just sexual entertainment, they also have the Pleasure Academy, which is adult sex education, and there is so much on there. Educational videos, articles, and workshops. They recently had one on role play, but definitely keep an eye out for future workshop announcements. They always cover such interesting topics. They've got Luna Matatas doing some sex ed tutorials. I absolutely love her. She is a fantastic sex educator, and I even had her on my podcast, and she's got some tutorials talking about vulva anatomy and pleasure and prostate anatomy and pleasure. And I know about the vulva stuff, but the prostate stuff, that was new to me. I learned a lot. And another tutorial that intrigued me, that piqued my interest and curiosity, was a striptease tutorial by S. Luna Love. It can feel quite awkward if you don't know what you're doing, but striptease can be really fun. And I am definitely one of those people that doesn't know what they're doing, but just commits. But she gave me loads of different ideas to help me kind of like feel more comfortable and confident in like knowing what I was doing. She even gives tips and advice on things like what to wear and music. But the main thing I was there for was the ideas for different kinds of movements. And it was kind of like a dance tutorial. And if you know me, I love a dance tutorial. So she gave you some like rough choreography, but obviously you can add your own flair to it and interpret it in whatever way you like. And I kind of think that actually, if you are a bit nervous about doing a sexy dance or doing a bit of a striptease, having some choreography to like fall back on so you know what you're doing and then you can like build from there can really help to give you that foundation of confidence that you need just to like give it a go. So I'm definitely going to be giving that a rewatch and learning some moves. This is what I've got so far. But you can get access to all of this amazing content on Cheeks for free for 7 days when you use my code HannahWitton and you select annual subscription. And you can switch to monthly or cancel at any time during your trial. Click the link in the description or head to getcheeks.com to start your free trial and enjoy. There was actually some research done in 2011 that found that couples who watch porn together reported that it enhanced their arousal, made them more open to trying new things, and in general had really positive benefits. But speaking of doing things together, can masturbation make it harder to perform during partnered sex? There are these ideas that if you masturbate while watching porn, then you won't be able to get hard, and that if you use sex toys to orgasm, then you won't be able to come without them. These ideas are both based upon a lot of sex negative myths that are out there. But while masturbation isn't harmful and porn and sex toys are both great things to include during partnered and solo sex, there are some elements of truth in there. Nuance. We love it. If you masturbate in the same way every time, which is called idiosyncratic masturbation, such as using the same toys, watching the same porn, using the same grip, or lying in the same position, then you might, an emphasis on might, find it difficult to orgasm in other ways. If you can orgasm with a sex toy during solo sex, but you can't orgasm during partnered sex, one, that is totally normal, by the way, but if it is something that you want to change, it might be helpful to change up some of your masturbation techniques. You can experiment with different kinds of touch, exploring different erogenous zones that aren't just your genitals, grabbing a different sex toy, and just generally taking time to explore your body. Masturbation isn't the problem, people, it is the answer. It's also totally normal to struggle to get hard or have an orgasm during partnered sex, and masturbation might be the thing that helps you do those things. Porn and sex toys do not have to be a threat to your relationship. Talk about what you're comfortable with, and also finding ways to include them in your relationship can be really fun. None of this wanking, watching porn, using sex toys, etc., is at all shameful. But even if you rationally know that it is not shameful, that doesn't mean you might not still feel shame or any other emotion. Am I allowed to be uncomfortable about this? It is totally okay to have strong emotions about any of these topics. Sex is something that lots of us have very strong beliefs and values about. And because we live in a erotophobic society where most of us won't have received comprehensive or inclusive sex education, Talking about these things in a relationship might be the first time you've had to challenge some of these beliefs about how things should work or what is normal. I don't want to shame people who want to masturbate whilst in a relationship or people who have complicated feelings about their partner masturbating. However, it is worth discussing these things with your partner and figuring out where you're each coming from. If you struggle with the idea of your partner masturbating, there may be fear, insecurity, or jealousy wrapped up in there, and sharing that with your partner can help. But it can be difficult. If your partner is uncomfortable with the idea of you watching porn, is it about the kind of porn you're watching, or is there an assumption there about what it means about your attraction to them? Even if you disagree, try to approach these conversations with curiosity and compassion. Some ideas of things to discuss. What are the underlying fears? What are the unmet needs? What does sex mean to you? What does masturbation mean to you? Hopefully that can start to get you on the same page, but it could also be the case that you find out that you're actually incompatible, which is a thing. Okay, so those are some of the big questions that might come up when you're discussing masturbation in a relationship. But how do you get to a place where everyone is comfortable? Let's talk logistics, baby. Logistics of masturbation in relationships. Boundaries. Even if you're in a long-term monogamous relationship, even if you're living together and or married, you are still allowed to have boundaries in that relationship. Boundaries is a bit of a buzzword at the moment, so I think it's important to be clear about what we mean by boundaries. Boundaries are what separates you from other people. They are not about controlling or changing others' behavior, but about your own actions and what you are or aren't willing to do. There's also a difference between boundaries, which are personal, and mutually agreed upon relationship terms. So you won't masturbate to mainstream porn in our relationship isn't a boundary because it's about trying to control somebody else's behavior. But you can set a boundary, that is, I won't be in a relationship with someone who watches mainstream porn. And in that instance, that might be something that you want to discuss before you get in a relationship with someone to make sure it aligns with what your partner wants too. And then a mutually agreed upon relationship term might be, we agree to not watch porn whilst the other person is in the house. So you can have your own personal boundaries around masturbation and porn, but these are some questions to ask when coming up with relationship terms around masturbation. And remember, they have to be mutually agreed upon. I like to call them wanking admin. Do you want to talk about your masturbation with each other? Can you masturbate before date nights or scheduled sex? Who's responsible for cleaning and tidying away the sex toys and lube? How do you give each other privacy to masturbate? Do you have a signal like a sock on the door? What kind of porn are you comfortable with the other person watching? Do you want to watch porn together? Are there certain rooms in the house where you don't want anyone masturbating? Can you watch each other masturbate? What happens if one of you walks in on the other? How do you find the time to masturbate? This is not a finite list, and you don't have to sit down and go through it all in one conversation, although you can if you're into that. But I would definitely recommend discussing these things, even if it feels awkward at first. Also, answers to these questions may change and evolve over time and be different from relationship to relationship, depending on things like if you live together, if you're polyamorous, if you're long distance. But you don't have to share everything. One big thing that always comes up when talking about boundaries is privacy and secrecy. Privacy refers to your personal boundaries about your history, your thoughts, your opinions and experiences separate from your partner or relationship. Secrecy, on the other hand, is something that you are intentionally hiding from your partner. For example, your partner isn't entitled to know absolutely everything about your sex life before you met them. You're allowed to keep as much of that private as you want to. However, for example, if you're in the middle of a herpes outbreak, that's information that you probably shouldn't hide from someone that you're going to have sex with. Having a private sex life with yourself is different from hiding things from your partner. I'm very open when it comes to talking about sex, but I don't share every fantasy that I have during my solo sex with my partner because that's just for me, you know? You're also allowed to enjoy things that are part of your solo sex life that you don't want to become part of your partnered sex life. Maybe you enjoy wanking with a butt plug in, but you don't want to add anal sex to the sex menu. It's okay to keep your solo sex life totally private and not discuss it with your partner. But if you want to, it can be a fun way of connecting. Getting involved. There are so many ways that you and your partner can include each other in your solo sex. Maybe you want to use masturbation to create sexual currency by texting them whilst you're wanking. Or you could record a little video of yourself to send to your partner that they can use the next time they're having solo sex. Or you could make your own porn together that you then both wank to. You could take photos of yourself or write your own erotica that you share with your partner. Or you could film yourselves having sex, and this can be a great option if you're not comfortable with your partner watching porn. Just make your own. I also did a whole video with Ruby Rare about sending nudes, which you can watch to get some inspiration and get your sending nudes game on. Also, if you don't live together or if you're long distance, then phone sex or video sex whilst you're masturbating can be a really great way to connect sexually. Or does this count as mutual masturbation rather than solo sex, or is it just sex? I mean, the lines just get blurry. And also in kinky relationship where there's a negotiated dom-sub dynamic, someone might have to ask permission to masturbate or have an orgasm. This, of course, would be negotiated and consensually agreed upon before it's incorporated into the relationship, but I can see how that could be super hot. And if you're into denial or orgasm control, that can be a really fun thing to play with together. The possibilities are endless. You might have realized by this point that there is no one right answer to how to navigate masturbation in a relationship. You need to work out what works for you and your partner or partners. And I wanted to include some different experiences, so I asked my followers on Instagram some nosy questions. So first up, I asked, if you're in a relationship / have been in a relationship, do you / did you masturbate? And the majority of people, yes, we live together at 62%, and then yes, we don't live together at 27%, and then 8% of people don't living together, and 2% of people don't not living together. So majority of you are wanking. But if you're not, also fine. If you're in a relationship / have been in a relationship, do / did you consume porn? And yes, 49%, the majority of you video, and then 19% written, and then 28% nah, and 5% of you audio-loving people. And then I asked for people to share some stories of them navigating solo sex in relationships so we can all take inspiration and just have a good time hearing these stories. Usually after we have sex, I end up masturbating thinking about the sex we just had. Boyfriend watching porn and then say no to sex. I was not aware of this. When I found out, I was very angry because I wasn't able to get what I needed from him. But once I found out, we had a good conversation and now we watch it together. I struggle with pain during sex and huge anxiety over UTIs, so masturbating together helped. I often masturbate next to husband gaming. He's asexual, so he doesn't care, and I don't feel alone. Married for years, believing that each other never masturbated, but both did it in secret. Catholic trauma. When she is too tired, she enjoys watching me and cheering me on. One time he walked in and I got so embarrassed I pretended I was asleep. Sometimes my husband participates or he encourages me from the other room. Can you just go away so I can try and wank away this oncoming migraine, please? Is my PMS ritual. I didn't want him to because I was insecure, but some time passed and I got over it, and now I think it's fine. We always tell each other when we've had a wank and are always so happy for each other. Love it. I'm sending my wife a little code via text when it's go time. She answers with have fun and gives me space. I did it in bed while he was playing video games, was hoping no one in Discord heard. You never know. It's nice to just have someone lay there and hold your hand while you masturbate. I love that. The more sex I have with my partner, the more horny I am when I am alone. Main experiences from a long distance relationship. Solo exploration made it even more exciting to meet in person. It also really helped maintain a sex drive. Solo sex can make partnered sex more desirable. We both agreed it was a good thing because we both got irritable if we didn't. Kink dynamic, I prefer solo sex / can only get off when solo. My orgasms are controlled by them. I work once a week from home. That is my defined day to masturbate. My girlfriend jokes about it. I usually add it in casually when he asks about my day, trying to normalize a historical taboo. I love that. Yeah, my day was fine, did some filming, had a wank, la 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 la. During pandemic, we made specific door signs to let each other know what we were doing and how long, etc. Oh my God, I need to know what this code is. My partner bought me my first vibrator. We are very open about solo sex and love to talk about it. Boyfriend accidentally stumbled upon some search history, and because of that, it opened up combos about our fantasies that I'd been too scared to share before. I send my partner a selfie with my rabbit every time I masturbate, just for fun. I was talking to my boyfriend about an ethical porn site I like. Turns out we were watching the same porn. Well, now you can share your subscription. Post-baby, masturbation saved our marriage. Too tired / painful for PIV sex. I hear ya. Sex suddenly got so good when he told me he thinks of me when he has solo sexy times. We tried having solo sexy times together and I think about it a lot. Was in different room, saw on phone he was watching Pornhub on smart TV, sent him a screenshot and had a laugh. My spouse knows that I have a sneeze fetish and really enjoy solo time with sneeze videos. New internet, account in spouse's name, blocked the erotica site I use, had to ask him to unblock it. We ask each other for a wank rating out of 5 when we know the other has masturbated. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. They were amazing. I feel inspired. I now want to come up with my own code about like what to leave on the door that gives an indication of like what I'm doing and how long I'll be. So do you all feel ready to have some potentially hard, pun intended, conversations about wanking with your partner? If you want some sex toys to help with your solo sex and connecting to yourself sexually, or even in your partnered sex, then I've got a whole bunch of really sexy discount codes for you. There are affiliate links, so I get a little kickback from any purchases made through those links, but you also get some money off. You're welcome. Links in the description to that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much to my patrons who help support me making sex education content like this. If you would like to join our community of sex nerds, you can go and check it out. Link in the description. We have a Discord server where we can all chat with each other, and you also get a lot of different bonus content and perks and live streams and a monthly reading list and all sorts of other bits and bobs. And it helps to keep this channel going, so thank you so much. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.